Welcome to Studies in the Word. This is Don Meecha, and today we're going to be looking at the chiastic structure of Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. The Hebrew Bible was translated into the Greek language sometime around 250 before the Common Era. And history tells us that the library at Alexandria, Egypt, had called for all of the world's great books to be copied and to be brought to this new massive library for scholars to translate into the Greek language and preserve these books for study purposes. Due to the unique nature of the Hebrew Bible, though, 70 or 72 Hebrew scholars were sent from the temple precinct, these intellectuals that went to Alexandria, Egypt, to translate the Bible and to painstakingly convey the Hebraic theological thoughts into the Greek language, so the world could discover the one true God. This translation of the Hebrew Bible into the Greek language is called the Septuagint. And with the Bible now translated into the Greek language, the Septuagint became the Bible of the Jews in the diaspora, the Greek-speaking Jewish people. And many of the newer covenant passages and quotations that are taken from the Tanakh, or the Hebrew Bible, were literally taken from the Septuagint and quoted from the Greek Bible. Even far more impressive is that the scholars who translated the Hebrew Bible into the Septuagint, they found a language far more descriptive and pliable. By this I mean they were able to choose from a variety of words to pinpoint an exact meaning. And they could use literary devices within the text itself to convey a pointed message far more dramatically than had it been written in Hebrew. Our case in point here is Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, where the writer uses an inverted parallelism to bring his audiences to the attention of the center point of his message. Let's look at the passage now. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us also lay aside every encumbrance and sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run the race with endurance that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Yeshua, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. When we read it in this fashion, it appears as a very strong statement for the duties of Yeshua and ours in following the cloud of witnesses. But what the writer really intended, he brought a far more dramatic point out by the use of a literary device called the chiasmus. And a chiasmus is a figure of speech in which two or more clauses are related to each other through a reversal of structure in order to make a larger point. That is, clauses display inverted parallelisms. In its classical application, the chiasmus would have been used for structures that do not repeat the same words and phrases, but invert a sentence grammatical structure or ideas. The concept of chiasmus has been applied to motifs in stories and plays, producing the chiasmic structure. Let's look at that structure in the text itself of Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. We'll note that the first line parallels the last line. The second line parallels the second to last line. The third to the last. The fourth to the last. And that fifth line in the middle, or the ninth line literally, fixes our eyes on the case in point, Yeshua. What the writer is intending to do is building a climax here from where he began in chapter 1, saying, in these last days God has spoken to us through his Son. Meaning that as Yeshua is better than the angels, as Yeshua is better than Melchizedek, as Yeshua is better than the high priest, as Yeshua is the inaugurator of a better covenant, the writer now in chapter 12 brings to a crescendo the person of Yeshua and his role in our lives. Since we have a cloud of witnesses who have gone before us, I would suspect the older covenant faithful, we keep our eyes on what they did, and they surround us. But now the writer is saying, take our eyes using only those as an example and fix them on a greater point, he who has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And let us lay aside every encumbrance and entangling sin, and note that Yeshua despised the shame. What is shame? Sin. Those things that weigh us down. Those things that fall short of God's word. And let us run with endurance just as Yeshua endured the cross. And let us run the race that is set before us, because he did it for the joy that was set before him. And then we come to that center line where we fix our eyes on Yeshua, who is the author and perfecter of faith. What the writer was trying to convey here cannot be seen in the English language. The force of the sentence structure is fixing our eyes on Yeshua, but seen through this literary device reveals to us how the writer of Hebrews brought to a crescendo the entire epiphany that Yeshua is better than. Well, brothers and sisters, each week we will have studies in the Word, and you can join us. And if you wish to study further and actually get college credit and produce a degree in religion or theological studies, you can contact the LOMMI Yeshiva. We've upgraded our technology to accommodate your schedule. You can watch classes on demand, and our Directive Studies program gives you the experience of a full-time college program. You can have a wonderful education and not even leave your home. Check for more information at themessianicreport.com, or you can email info@themessianicreport. And when you're there, please check out our on-demand videos and sermons, and check out our member-driven content. But this week, join us at 11:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Shabbat morning, the 27th of September, to be a part of our sermon this week, which is an introduction to Rosh Hashanah, Part 2. You can also continue to enjoy live studies in the Word each week. And if you have a question, please email your questions to asktherabbi@messianicreport.com, and we will answer your questions. Join us each week. This is Don Meecha with Studies in the Word.